So this is a recap of some work we've been doing in class. The point of it is about understanding how Python Arcade works and also just developing our skills, being able to pick bits out of example code and use them to our own purposes. I'm starting with this moving platforms example, which looks like this. It's got a couple of things we don't want. These moving platforms are terrible. You probably just saw right there the character just glitched through them. I do not recommend you ever use these for all kinds of reasons. I also don't like the camera following me around. We want to kind of have an arena situation where we just have a fixed camera and we just work inside this space. So let's go into the listing. I've already got it here. And let's pick the bones out of what we've got here. So we've got a bunch of constants at the beginning, which is very relevant, all to do with setting up sizes and movement speeds and things like that. So we'll sort of remember that, and we'll have to come back to it. We know we've got an init to initialize everything, and we've got a setup. I see that we've got some camera stuff here that may be relevant later. Apart from that, though, we've got some typical sprite lists and sprites being set up, and this is interesting as well. Self.left down, self.right down. I think that's to do with key presses. So then we've got the setup where we create the player sprite, and we've got some lists which are being initialized. I'll see here it says create floor. This is the value of having comments in your code. This is why you should put comments in your own code, is you don't have to try and make sense of the code. You just read the comment and say, that's what this bit does. And see all of these ones that say create platform side to side and create platform side to side and create some more platforms and so on. Those are exactly the ones that you don't want. So I'm going to delete all of that lot, making sure I've been careful to. I always double check my indentation after I've done a big delete like that. It's easy for things to go wrong at that stage. So that should, I've made a big change there, so I'm going to save it and I'm going to run it. But that should have got rid of all of the moving platforms from the little arena that we've got. Give it a second to start. Yeah, all the platforms are gone and everything still works and jump still works and so on. So the other thing I wanted to get rid of was the camera. So let's keep going through and seeing what we've got. We should check the physics engine thing. This is how we set up the actual platformer. Basically, you say, what's the player? And what are the things that the player can't go through, like walls and floors and so on. It does you see here it's got a combination of multiple lists, the static wall list and the self.moving wall list. Self.moving wall list is currently empty, so we could, if we want to do just to tidy things up, just remove that. So now it's just got the player sprite, the wall list, and the gravity. Gravity is good. It's nice to be able to change gravity. In this onDraw thing, we've got self.staticWallList.draw, movingWallList.draw. Again, this is empty, so if we're trying to keep ourselves tidy, we can just remove that. This is all to do with the movement. We can kind of just be aware that it's there. We're going to have to get into this later when we do a thing to do with shooting. We're not going to worry too much. The physics engine update is basically doing the player sprite update and anything else that we had to. And then this is the camera stuff. So it calls a function called self.scrollToPlayer. Here it is right here, conveniently. So this line calls this function, which is what sets the camera position. So if we just remove that line and the comment that's with it, then the camera will no longer work. But just because this function is no longer doing anything, I'm going to rip that out as well, just so it makes our program a bit shorter, a bit easier to work through. Having done all those changes, we'll check and see that it still works. They're really important. You don't keep just hacking away at the code and breaking it. Yep, we've got no moving sprites and we've got no camera. So that'll do for the first stage, and in the next stage we're going to add some more floors. We want some platforms like around here and around here, maybe around here. That will be part of the game.